Good evening. Today is Saturday, 8th January 2022. And I would like to tell you about what I celebrated 2 days ago, like every year, on the 6th January. I celebrate my name, Bhaga, the name that came to me on that date in 1979, when finally I wanted a new name. During the first few years of my life in Oroville, I didn't feel such a need. But after some time, the name that my parents had given to me, which happened to be Christian, and which had been quite fitting for until then, in the context where I had lived. Now, with all the new things I was experiencing, and the much enlarged understanding of the process of evolution, and what are the various religions, and in which way those two beings, Sri Aurobindo and the mother, had accomplished one step more after what Jesus Christ had been able to accomplish at his time, just like Buddha before had been able to accomplish what was possible and needed in his time. And so was Krishna, etc., etc. Evolution keeps going further. So, without demeaning in any way what has been accomplished by the previous incarnations of the divine in this or that part of the earth, to enlighten us a little more and help humanity go further in its own evolution. I wanted really to be part now of what the new possibilities would bring. And I wanted to participate in these new achievements that now were at last possible too. So then the name Christian became a kind of limitation. Anyway, you see, it was not really an intellectual thing. I didn't feel at ease anymore with that name. So obviously I needed a name that I would be as fully happy as possible with. So at the time when that need became quite clear to me, well, the mother, not only Sri Aurobindo was not there physically anymore to be asked, but the mother was not anymore either. But then, you see, I just asked them in the other dimensions, and I told them, you see, now your child wants a new name. So please find a way to indicate to me what it is. And indeed, the answer came that when I would meet that name, I would know from within that it was that name. So I didn't worry about it anymore and went on with my life. And it so happened, I will make something short today because yesterday has been a bit difficult for me physically, and I don't want my body to become tired again. So it is thanks to a book by Sri Aurobindo, which he had called The Secret of the Veda, that I met my name. And the Vedas are the most ancient scriptures of India. But even the Indian people have pretty much lost the real sense of what it meant and what it spoke about. And other scriptures, a bit more recent, like the Upanishads or the Bhagavad Gita, are more currently referred to, you see, and used in daily life by people. And but it so happens that when Sri Aurobindo arrived finally in Pondicherry, with a solid knowledge of Sanskrit he had acquired since he had come back from England to India, he was able to read directly in the original the Veda, and particularly the one which applies to the spiritual life, which is the Rig Veda. But commonly people speak of the Veda, and meanings that specific part particularly. So unless they are specialized in the kind of topics which are treated in the parts of the Veda other than the Rig Veda. But generally, what is understood by the Veda is that main part, which is called the Rig Veda, which has been written by rishis, seers, you see, inspired people ages ago. Nobody knows exactly how many millennia, even before Christ, and probably even before. And the rishis themselves were mentioning their forefathers, from whom that wisdom, that knowledge, in a much higher form then had been transmitted to them. So we don't know again from which long forgotten past of humanity that knowledge, that wisdom, that spiritual tradition was transmitted until our age now through the Veda. So, and those rishis or seers were basically writing hymns that they were inspired to write, each of them in their own way. Hymns invoking, celebrating one aspect of the divine, which to the normal mind seem, you see, to correspond to what usually we call a specific god or goddess, etc. And but in their perception, still they were aware of the fundamental oneness of all those aspects. So there was no real separation. Still, each hymn was celebrating and invoking one special aspect of the whole divine, which the rishis wanted for their own growth and spiritual development, to call in themselves, to be born in themselves and to develop in themselves. So Sri Aurobindo, in the introductory chapter, explains the basic meaning that he has found to be the actual content, spiritual content, deep meaning of all these hymns. The secret meanings that had been lost over the millennia. And how did he find it? This was quite interesting to find out. He was having, Sri Aurobindo himself, some experiences which he had not found explained anywhere in any other scriptures of India. And only now, when reading the Veda, he had recognized. So this is how, with inner recognition, he had been able to identify the deeper ancient meaning that had been lost under the surface meaning that philologists and foreign scholars had failed to perceive. So all the hymns that Sri Aurobindo translated as examples to show how his theory, his hypothesis, the meanings that he was proposing as a basic meaning underlying everything. Sri Aurobindo takes one after the other, several hymns as examples, translates them, comments on them. And in that way, we can see how his theory applies to the full, at last intelligible and wonderful meaning that those texts then reveal. So I was reading all that. And each of those hymns was so wonderful, so beautiful. I was so full of enthusiasm for each of them as I was reading them, discovering them. But when I read the hymn, which was dedicated to the aspect of the divine called Bhaga, then that was it. What that aspect of the divine was, could do, could achieve, the way it could help our individual evolution and the evolution of the whole of humanity. That was it. That was exactly what my whole being was longing to be able someday to do, to some extent at least. My whole being was uplifted towards such an incredibly beautiful potential. It was as if I knew now what my star was, which would attract me to its light and make me grow into it more and more. The truth of my own being revealed in my life, little by little. That happened on the 6th January, 1979. So since then, every year, particularly recently, I have remembered with joy that important event in my life. And the reason why I'm telling you is again, like for everything from my own life, which I share with you. It is because it may have significance and relevance also in the lives of other people among you who are listening to me. If your present name doesn't matter for you, has no relevance in your life, doesn't help you in any way to be more specifically what, or even to know as a overall direction, what you are meant to become, it is not serving its purpose. And perhaps you should start wondering, well, what is your real purpose? And find your true name. Or at least the first approximation of it. Whatever will help you to discover your own direction of development. I have found over the years that the finding of my name has been such a tremendous help. I really wish to everybody to have the same event happen in their own lives. So I will have more to say about that name at other times. But for today, I'll stay with this only. It is enough as a seed for everybody to consider for their own life and line of becoming. So I wish all of you a very good week to come. And their non-stop development of their own truth. Their own aspect of the divine that they have to embody more and more. Oh.